Breaking news that's unfolding right now, and this is massive. U.S. Special Forces just seized a Venezuelan oil tanker off the coast of Britain. But here's the kicker: Russia tried to stop it. Putin himself sent naval escorts to protect this ship. The question Americans need to be asking: what the hell was on that tanker that made Putin so desperate? Let me walk you through what just happened in the North Atlantic. The tanker, originally called the Bella 1, now renamed the Marinera after Russia reflagged it just weeks ago, was intercepted by American Special Operations Forces, and get this, they launched from British soil, according to defense analysts tracking the operation. At least 10 U.S. Air Force heavy cargo planes landed in the UK starting Sunday, each one carrying Special Forces helicopters and tactical equipment, the same type used in that dawn raid on Caracas, Venezuela just days ago. We're talking AC-130 gunships with 105mm howitzer cannons, aerial refueling tankers. The works. This wasn't some small operation. This was a full-scale military intervention in international waters. But here's where it gets interesting for Americans. This wasn't just a U.S. operation. France, the UK, even Ireland had reconnaissance aircraft tracking this vessel for days. Why? They weren't just watching the tanker. They were looking for Russian submarines. That's right, U.S. Navy P-8 Poseidon spy planes, French Air Force assets, Royal Air Force surveillance, all scanning the North Atlantic for Russian subs. That could have been escorting this tanker. Putin made it crystal clear on New Year's Eve: do not seize this ship. Trump did it anyway. Now here's where this story gets really wild. This tanker left Iran back in August, heading to Venezuela. But when U.S. Coast Guard tried to board it in December near the Venezuelan blockade, the crew refused and the ship fled north into the Atlantic. Here's the billion-dollar question. The tanker is empty. No oil on board. So why would Russia go to such extreme lengths to protect an empty ship? Why reflag it? Why send military escorts? Why did Putin personally intervene? Intelligence analysts believe this tanker was carrying something far more valuable than oil. Let's connect the dots for a second. Iran has been running a Hezbollah training facility in Venezuela. Not just training. They've set up drone manufacturing capabilities there. They're training militants, giving them new identities, then reinserting them into Europe and the Middle East. Some defense experts are speculating this tanker could have been carrying drone-making equipment, weapons manufacturing materials, or sophisticated military hardware from Iran to Venezuela. That's why American intelligence has been tracking this vessel for months. Think about this from an American security perspective. You've got Iran, Russia, Venezuela, Cuba, all deeply connected. Iran sends weapons and technology to Venezuela. Venezuela provides a safe haven for terrorist training. Russia provides protection and legitimacy. Cuba sends military advisors and medical staff. It's not just a tanker seizure. It's disrupting a global terrorist supply chain. So where does the tanker go now? Could end up in Liverpool, given the deep sea ports. But one thing is for sure. Whatever's on that ship, U.S. intelligence wants it badly enough to risk a major diplomatic incident with Russia. This seizure tells us something crucial about Trump's second-term strategy. Remember when George W. Bush talked about the axis of evil after 9/11? Trump's taking that playbook and supercharging it. Look at the pattern. First, kinetic military action in Venezuela, taking out Maduro's regime. Then, immediate seizure of the suspicious tanker linked to Iran and Russia. Defense analysts are calling it the Rumsfeld Doctrine 2.0. Sweep it all up at once. But here's the question American taxpayers should be asking. Can we actually handle all this? Venezuela, Iran tensions brewing, this Russian confrontation. Plus Trump's talking about Greenland and pressuring NATO allies, even the world's most powerful. Military has limits. Remember Iraq and Afghanistan? America's great at knocking off dictators and breaking enemy forces. Where we struggled was nation building, getting stuck in endless occupations, listening to exiles who hadn't been in their home countries for decades. The big risk here, Trump's strategy could work brilliantly if executed fast. Get in. Accomplish the mission. Get out. But if American forces get bogged down in Venezuela, or if this tanker seizure escalates into a prolonged standoff with Russia, we could be looking at multiple simultaneous conflicts, and that's expensive. That's your tax dollars. That's American lives potentially at risk. Here's the uncomfortable part for American allies in Europe. This operation launched from British bases. France provided reconnaissance. Multiple NATO countries participated in tracking this vessel. But at the exact same moment, Trump's threatening to annex Greenland from Denmark, a NATO ally. He's pressuring European countries to massively increase defense spending or lose U.S. protection. So European leaders are stuck in this bizarre situation, cooperating with America on operations like this tanker seizure, while simultaneously being threatened and insulted by the American president. The UK is crawling toward 2.5% defense spending by 2027. France and Germany are years away from hitting NATO's targets. Meanwhile, Trump's basically saying, pay up or we're gone. And here's the real irony. Putin's watching NATO potentially fracture over money and hurt feelings, while he's actively invading Ukraine. The same European allies who are upset about Greenland rhetoric are the ones who need American military power to counter Russian aggression. It's a mess, and it's a mess that affects American security interests directly. So where does this leave us? An empty tanker seized in the North Atlantic might not sound like a huge deal, but when you unpack it, you're looking at a direct U.S.-Russia confrontation, evidence of Iran-Venezuela terrorists, connections, potential weapons, or drone technology trafficking, NATO alliance tensions at a critical moment, Trump sweep it all up doctrine in action. The bigger question for Americans, is this the beginning of a new doctrine that efficiently dismantles terrorist networks and hostile regimes? Or are we watching the early stages of American forces getting stretched too thin across too many conflicts? Because one thing's for sure, this tanker seizure is just the opening move. With Trump's second term just beginning, and tensions rising with Iran, Russia, and even some NATO allies, the next few months could reshape American foreign policy for decades. What do you think? Is Trump's aggressive strategy the right move? Or is America biting off more than it can chew? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear from you. And if you want to stay ahead of breaking news like this before the mainstream media catches up, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This is the Real-Time Talk, keeping you informed on what really matters for Americans.